Hey, everybody out there in YouTube land, and anybody who's watching right now, and will watch this stream later. This is Will, the Dragon Whisperer, and I apologize that I have not been able to do this stream every Sunday evening like I'd hoped. It's beginning to be Reptile Expo season, and I've been getting a lot of new animals and a lot of breeding projects coming into fruition. So I've been really busy lately, guys, and I've been getting into the reptile room here late on Sundays, the last couple weekends, and I just have not had time to get the stream together. So big shout outs to anybody watching. There's only a couple people watching right now. If you'll comment in the chat so I can mention you and thank you for being here. I've got Leonidas here with me, and hopefully some more people will join, and we'll talk about some reptiles. Hopefully some people have some beginner reptile questions. Definitely want to talk a little bit about the Dingo Dinkelman situation and what's been going on with him. Leonidas just came out of a shed, so he's looking really, really good right now. His white is looking so good, and his patterning, his little emojis. Leonidas actually has quite a few emojis. You see a pretty good smiley face right there. He's got a kind of a winky face right there. Winky face winking, however you say that. Then he's got another emoji smiley face right there. And then if you turn the same one kind of upside down and it's got eyes the other direction, it looks kind of like a grumpy face. At least to me it does. But this guy is super, super cool, super chill. He goes to a lot of reptile shows for me. He is not for sale. He is a breeder. He's a visual pied, but he's also 66% het for candy. The clutch he was part of, they had visual candy pieds in that clutch, so it has been proven out. And I also have a clutch mate of his that is het pied, het candy, that hopefully they will be breeding down the road. Obviously that breeding project is going to take a couple years. Leonidas is just about 500 grams, but he's a beautiful boy and he's so sweet. Never showed one sign of aggression ever. Crushes food like he's never ate before, and I can hand this guy off to any child or anybody that's never held a snake before. He's not head shy at all, so just I worked with him since he was a little dude. Got 3 people. Soda Pop Fizz, thanks for being here. Marcy's Outhouse, what do you recommend for someone interested in getting a Euromastix or a small reptile? I had a Euromastix. You can check it out on some of my earlier videos. Actually, my Euromastix care guide is one of the most watched videos on my channel, and I think it's one of the most watched Euromastix care guides. It's around 5,000 views. And real quick, can somebody in the chat just tell me if you can hear me okay? I'm using an external mic this time, and it blocks my speakers, so I don't hear. I'm not hearing anything right now, so I don't know if you guys are hearing me okay. But small reptile, I mean, Euromastix is awesome, but unfortunately a lot of the ones that you're going to see online from like Underground Reptiles or LLL Reptiles, or even that you're going to see at a lot of the shows, are going to be wild caught, and in my experience they're usually pretty skittish when they're wild caught. I mean, Pyro, once I held him, he would calm down, but in his tank he would just run from me even after like a year of working with him. Even after hand feeding him, he was still really, really super skittish, but he was wild caught and kind of rescue. But I've heard a lot of other people have similar experience. They can either be really docile or skittish, but I think if you get a captive bred from a good breeder, then you're going to have a lot better luck with it being not so skittish. But I mean, leopard geckos are one of the greatest for a small beginner reptile. Crested geckos, I think, are the best, except they're not really the most handleable. You can't really handle them for long periods of time. But as far as requirements and ease of care, crested geckos, super easy. Let's see. Okay, good, no problem. But I think that's crested gecko, leopard gecko, corn snakes make great beginner reptile because they're super easy to care for. Ball pythons, I mean Leonidas, I would recommend for anybody. A ball python is their first pet. But Uromastyx are the bomb. They're such an awesome species, but you just got to have that high basking temperature. And I've seen a lot of people put them in 4x2x2s, or the 36x18x18s. And I always had my Uromastyx in a. He started out in a 3 foot, then moved up to a 4 foot, but I always had 12 foot tall because they don't really climb. And then you can have the basking or the heat element so much closer to the basking rock that you're going to use or the basking spot, and just helps you achieve those 130, 135 degree basking temperatures like they need. So if you are going to get a Uromastyx, I recommend finding like a low boy style enclosure, 12 inches tall, so that you can get your heat a lot closer to the source. But that would be my recommendation if you're looking for a Uromastyx. Get the lower enclosure, and try to get captive bred. I recommend Morph Market. I don't have a specific breeder that I know right offhand for Uromastyx captive bred, but there's definitely some on Morph Market. And if you hit me up on Instagram, Dragon underscore Whisper underscore, I can get you in touch with a captive bred breeder for whatever species you're looking for. If it's something that Tar Heel Exotics doesn't have. I mean, we have a lot of species that are not on Morph Market right now, and that I've got in quarantine, and that I'm going to be taking to the next show. So, any kind of animal anybody's ever looking for, if Tar Heel Exotics doesn't have it, I can point you in the right direction. So, never hesitate to hit me up on Instagram if you guys are looking to add to your collections. 4 people watching right now. Big thanks to everybody. Corn snakes are good. Sometimes, that big yawn by Leonidas, that was awesome. Corn snakes are really awesome. Their care requirements are really easy. They can be kind of skittish though, not the best for handling. And sometimes they can be picky eaters or go on little hunger strikes. But I had a corn snake for a while and I loved it. It was just kind of like hard to get it sometimes out of its enclosure. It would run away from me a lot. It was never aggressive or tried to bite. They just were. And then when you do have them like a ball python, they're very slow moving. I mean, they're active, but they're slow moving. You can see it's not taking me any effort to contain Leonidas, but corn snakes, they're going to run all over you. They're a lot faster. They're a lot quicker. It's a little more work to handle them. They're going to try to move around a whole lot more, and a lot harder to just keep right there in your hands like a ball python or some kind of a boa or something like that. It's a little more docile and not quite so active. Sherry Lynn Mad Cat, thanks for showing up. She's a blue check mark. Good to see you. And it's funny that you're here, Sherry, because I've been thinking I'm a gamer for those who don't know it, and but I play a lot of first person shooters and driving games. But I used to be into the RPGs and the role playing games and stuff like that. So I think I'm going to start getting back into Elder Scrolls or Skyrim. And I actually saw the new game that came out. Looks really cool. So I may be getting up with you, Sherry, about some Elder Scrolls advice. But good to see you here. 5 people watching. That's great. I think our record right now is only my 3rd or 4th stream. The most we've ever had watching is 7 or 8. So we're almost there. Share it out. Let people know. I'm still tweaking the time of this. I was hoping later on Sunday evenings people would be winding down and have the time to, sit down and maybe engage in a reptile podcast. If anybody's got any other questions, thank you so much to the people that are here in the chat. Sherry Lynn Madcat, I have watched a couple of your streams you've done lately, but I didn't do a lot of comment in the chat. There's just some people in that community that have had some things to say about me, and I'm not gonna stoop so low as to mention them or talk about the comments that were made. But I have watched some of your streams. I've just stayed quiet in the background so people didn't know I was there. You're a great person in the community, Sherry Lynn. Keep doing what you're doing, and glad to have you here. But ball pythons are better for handling, absolutely, as opposed to a corn snake or any other snake. And one thing that's really easy to me about the ball pythons too is that because they're constrictors, and I mean to a degree you can tell in corn snakes and other kind of snakes too, elapids and colubras and stuff. But since these guys are constrictors, when it's almost like you have muscles on your body, but you can feel a difference between when those muscles are slack and when those muscles are flexed and tense. And with the ball python, they're just all muscle, and so when they start getting tense and agitated, you can really feel it in the body movement and in just the feel, because that muscle all of a sudden gets tense and like it's flexed. And then you can, if you get bit by a ball python, you're asking for it, or you don't, you've really pissed him off and not read any of the signs. Because they're going to really tighten up and hiss and get really tense before they're going to strike or bite or do anything aggressive. And for the most part, that's the reason they're called ball pythons, because when they get scared or they get agitated, they're going to ball up and protect their head, because that's their most vital asset. So I definitely think they are the number one snake for handling. I mean, boas and even retics, I've had a lot of fun handling them, and they can be really slow moving and docile, but then they're just so much bigger. In my opinion, ball python is the funnest, awesomest, most coolest. And that's not a word, I'm sure. Awesomest, but they're the best snake for handling in the world to me. Just a dream. It's so. Can't find the word, but it's very relaxing and kind of zen to just sit here and watch TV and let Leonidas or one of the other ball pythons climb around on me. It's really a stress reliever. It really calms me down and kind of takes my mind off of things. We need that little mental break from the world we live in today. But I did want to talk about do all kinds of research for getting pregnant. That's what you got to do. You have to do super. Yeah, Sherry, you missed it, but he's actually got like 4 or 5 emojis. He's got a smiley face right there, and he's got kind of a mad face going that direction, and he's got another smiley face right here, and then he's kind of got a winky face right here, some kind of sleepy eye face. But he has at least 4 emojis on him that are pretty clear to see, which I'm pretty excited about. I'm going to put him back here in a second and see if I can get another one of my animals. Benjamin, hey, what's up, man? Glad you're here. Benjamin NZ. I'm going to see if I can't wrangle my new iguana out. I've been trying to socialize and spend more time with her. She's going to get about 4 feet long, and she's not aggressive right now. She's just really skittish and shy. So I'm going to see if I can't wrangle her out real quick. And then I want to talk to you guys about the Dingo Dinkelman thing here really quickly. So give me 1 second. Yeah, I've had him I got him back in July of last year, Sherry. So I've had him for a while now. He's been with me for about 8 months now, and growing like a weed. And hopefully we'll be breeding him another year or so when he gets a little bigger. But with the males, you can put them with females so much smaller. So he's actually, I mean, I've heard Chris Hardwick say he's paired males at 700. He's paired males at 700 grams, and Leonidas is around 600 grams, so it won't be long until he'll be big enough to go ahead and start doing his thing. It's okay, baby. It's okay, baby. Now, this is one of my newest additions to the room, and I've always thought iguanas were cool lizards, especially because they get so big and the big flap at the neck and the spikes. But unfortunately, a lot of them, unless you spend an immense amount of time with them, and it has to be pretty much constant their whole life, they just get mean. And a lot, I've rescued a lot and rehomed them, and I mean, I consider myself the dragon whisperer. I've had an immense amount of luck taming down mean animals. I've never been bitten by a big lizard or a snake or anything. I feel like I can really read their behavior and kind of tame that savage beast. But every iguana I've worked with, even after months of working with it, still tail whip, try to bite me, especially inside their enclosures, really tank aggressive. But this is a banana pectinata. She will get around 4 feet long, just like a big blue or green iguana, but they have a lot more docile, calm personality. Right now she's still getting used to being handled. She's really skittish when I try to go in there and get her, but she's not aggressive. She never tries to tail whip me. She never tries to bite me. She's just really shy. So this is Oh, hey, Ashley Barnes. Glad to see you here in the chat. And I'll show you something here in a second, Ashley. You're talking about breeding rats. But this is a she, and I got her from a buddy of mine at the Reptile Show, Bill from AHP Exotics. Awesome company. Check them out. If you're looking for a source for weird reptiles and you don't want to go with somebody like Backwater or Underground or LLL, that have mostly nothing but wild caught stuff. I mean, I've gotten quality animals from those people, but for the most part, they have wild caught stuff, and I'm not disparaging those. They're great companies, but Bill at AHP Exotics has a lot more captive bred and what I consider a little bit higher tiered animals. So, but I got this from Bill. She did have a tail. She had lost her tail, so it's in regeneration right now. She doesn't have any spikes from here down. That part of the tail is still growing. And so I'm really trying to get her used to me rubbing her tail and stroking her tail so that she doesn't ever want to drop it again. But I've named her Valkyrie. This is Valkyrie, and she's a beautiful little girl. You can really see the peach and kind of orangish to their color. And I'm not really sure why they call them banana, why they got the name banana pectinata, but they are. A lot of people call them spiny tail iguanas. But Clint from Clint's Reptiles just got one of these, and I was super jealous. Kate's Reptiles, thank you for joining. All right, we got 7 in the house. It's awesome. This is the biggest so far group we've had in the live stream. 7 was the record for like my second or third one. So thank you guys. Share it out. Let's get a few more in here if we can. Yeah, this is Valkyrie. And I just think their back feet, those big, long, giant toes and claws, and once they get 4 feet long, those big, giant back feet are just so amazing. And yeah, so she's coming along with the taming down. Every now and then she'll open her mouth at me when I stroke her little neck flap. She still doesn't know if she likes that or not, but it's like that's her spot though. After she lets me do it for a second, she's like, "Ooh, that does feel good." It's kind of hard to try to act like I don't like it, because I do. But she's a sweetheart. When I get her out of her tank, she's a sweetheart. She'll sit on my neck and I can walk around the room. So hopefully she'll get less and less skittish. But every time I try to go in her tank and get her, she likes to run from me. But I have been able to tease her. I just did a live stream with Johann's Exotics recently, and I was able to actually tease. The last couple of weeks, I've been able to tease her with superworms and put my arm on one of her branches, and I can pull her, get her right out onto my shoulder because she loves superworms, and then I'll just walk away from her enclosure, and then she's kind of stuck on Daddy's shoulder. But she's a sweet girl, and I can't wait till she gets really big. I can take her to birthday parties and the shows and put her on the harness and let her walk around and feed her in front of the children, in front of the people at the reptile shows. She's going to be a great educational ambassador for reptiles and for Tar Heel Exotics. I'm super excited. If you guys hadn't seen all my recent videos, I just did a birthday party for an awesome little young boy named Mason, and it was incredible having all those kids just going nuts with the animals, and them getting to hold and interact with the animals, and it just went super good. And I've already gotten a lot more parents reached out to me to book some more birthday parties, and it's kind of unfortunate because I tried to put a Craigslist ad, which is what people use in our area for kind of things like that, and Morph Market doesn't have any kind of classification like that, and people keep flagging my ad on Craigslist and telling me that it's only going to stress animals out to have them around children, and that one of the animals could hurt the children, that I'm being very irresponsible by promoting reptile birthday parties and bringing reptiles to kids and doing presentations in front of kids, which we all know is entirely ridiculous. So I'm battling some Karens. Look, Apollo knows, this is Apollo. He's my first ever bearded dragon, and he knows Daddy's voice. But I'm dealing with some Karens on Craigslist that for whatever reason keep trying to take my birthday party ads down. But we'll see how that goes in the future. Yeah, ridiculous. So let me show Ashley something really funny, since she says she breeds. I have 3 female ASFs, and they all had babies in the last week or two. So I have like a explosion over here of babies. This like ridiculous amount of babies. Like There's a lot that are almost at the weaning stage, but there are so many in there, little pinkies. You can see a few of them. Under, nope, get your butt back in there. And I use these thick concrete mixing tubs, and these jokers actually chewed a hole out the back corner, and some of them escaped. And but they're so tame that I was actually able to wrangle them back up. Yeah, there's some pinkies nursing from mom, but there's about 35 little babies buried in that little nest right now. Got crazy amounts of baby rats right now. And then, oh, too bad the lights just turned out because I just set this up for my blue dart frogs, and they were out. And I wanted you guys to see them, but they have went into hiding. And this is my, if you haven't seen the latest videos, this is my, oh, Apollo just fell. This is my newest additions to the reptile room, and these are completely bioactive setups. There she is right there. That is the female Lechianis. That is, whoa, a little bit too much of a zoom there. That is Fiona, and she is a female Lechianis, about 2 years old, and the tank beside her is hopefully her future boyfriend, but he always hides pretty good. Move my turtle food out of the way, and he's usually, yeah, there he is. You can just see his belly, but that is Shrek, the male Lechianis gecko, back there in this corner hiding. So hopefully very soon those guys are going to start getting the introductions between those two so that we can get us some Leechy babies. This is Valkyrie's cage. There she is right there running to hide for the night, but she's got a really big custom cage I built her with lots of stuff to climb on, and she's got her food and stuff, and then up there on the little feeding ledge I've got some super worms in a little bowl she can't get out. Yeah, she's clever. I can already tell that iguana is going to be super fun to work with because she's so super smart. And then here I've got a little baby Texas alligator lizard. His lights are just about to go off, and all my crested gecko tanks up here. That one's going through a redo. And we've got a little bitty rescue leopard gecko. Yeah, there it is. A little bitty rescue leopard gecko. I don't know if you guys heard me talking about it the other day, but when I went in my local PetSmart, they had found that gecko in the store. They don't know if somebody surrendered it or what, but it was literally crawling on one of the shelves, and they couldn't sell it or list it as a PetSmart animal or guarantee it, so they begged me to take it in, and had terrible stuck shed on all its little fingers like gloves, and I had to take it all off. Yeah, somebody mentioned about my enclosures while I'm walking around. I might as well show you. This right here was, I'm going to be doing another reptile room tour here recently, but this is my entertainment center, and I gutted the bottom of it and took the doors off, and I built a 2-tub snake rack in there that has the thermostat mounted right there for that snake rack for my adults. And then over here I have a DIY snake rack I built for all my ball python hatchlings, and it has thermostats, one over there and 2 on the other side. But kind of poor placement though, hard for me to see those thermostats, but they've been working great. And then underneath, which is really a pain to do water changes, but it works out great. Underneath the leechies, I have a red-eared slider and a yellow-bellied slider in this tank underneath the leechies. And yeah, water changes on that tank are really fun. And that's my incubator underneath there. I had an old school desk and a converted wine cooler into an incubator. And then, like I showed you, my crested gecko tank's off top. But this was the top of the entertainment center that sat on top of here, and set it on the floor and then gutted it and put a shelf in the middle and turned it into 2 4x2x2 enclosures, This one is for Apollo, which I'm about to put him back in there now so he can go to bed. That is Apollo's enclosure, and like I wired my own lights and fixtures inside. And then below Apollo on the second shelf is my female breeder. And like when I put the substrate in there, especially for the females so they can lay, I try to do a break where she has like a little wall, so when I feed her over here, it keeps her substrate away from her food and stuff. But she's going into brumation. But same thing, I wired my own light fixtures, and she actually has a second UVB bulb, but I've got to replace it. But yeah, so that was the top to my entertainment center, and I turned it into an enclosure, and I put these two drop-down doors so I can fold them down and they can just climb out. And this is a 4x2x2 double stack enclosure I built. It has the drop-down door at the bottom, and then Stevie Ray, my blind rescue dragon, is in the top. Oh, focus, way out of focus. But he has a pretty cool enclosure. I've got fake hardwood vinyl in there, but I built this one myself too. He actually has a little fan. In there to keep the humidity down. So when his timer comes on and his lights come on, his fan comes on too. Yeah, and then that one has a big drop down door, so I can just let them out. And I use the like old school window latches to keep it closed. And then that's Ramsey's. He's going to be going into brumation too. But yeah, wired my own light fixtures in there. He's got a UVB bulb that I've taken out to help facilitate his brumation. Oh wow. That one just came discombobulated on me. I have to repair that. But yeah, I built those myself, and then I'm actually building this for a customer right now. This is going to be a 4x2x2 double stacked, and they're going to have radiant heat panels and 24-inch UVB fixture on the top, and no support beams in the middle or anything either. My enclosures don't sag, and you can stack them. I still got to put vents in, but then the lights are already wired with their switches and plugs. So excited about that. And you can see I got all the wires inside running with conduit, so there's no exposed wires for the animals. But working on that for a customer, Mr. Brad, and that'll be going out to him later this week once I install the heat panels and the heat mats. So and then this is more crested geckos, my rescue ninja, and some leopard geckos down here. Matter of fact, one of them's climbing around right now. My trimper carrot tails. But anyway, quick little reptile tour. If anybody has any more questions, I've been trying to follow the chat while I was walking around. Still 6 people watching. And I'm super excited. She said hubby won't let me. Yeah, I was lucky because I've stumbled on some more furniture recently that I think I'm gonna try to convert into more reptile tanks. I'm hoping to get some more big lizards. I'm hoping I think a green, I can't remember the exact way to say this, and it's frustrating me, but green keel belly lizard, green keel belly, I can't remember, but they're very similar to a green tree monitor. I'm getting one of those soon, so I'm trying to build a big, tall, wide, arboreal cage, very similar to the one Valkyrie's in, and I think I found a nice old dresser that's going to work for that. Yeah, I love turning old things or repurposing things into enclosures if I can. Especially in my early days, I was rescuing a lot of animals, so I was trying to save money without sacrificing space as far as not putting the animal in an enclosure that was too small just so I could give it a home, and come up with a lot of tricks and found a lot of ways watching other people's videos, how to mount my own lights, how to run my own wires, and how to do it all safely. Those ceramic fixtures you can get from most hardware stores for a couple bucks, and they're really great because since they're ceramic, you can put any kind of heating element into them. They're really easy to wire, and then anytime you have to splice a wire to put it through an enclosure wall, you can go ahead and cut that wire and then drill a really tiny small hole, just barely big enough for the wire to go through, and then you can wire a switch right there so you don't have a wire splice or something that looks unprofessional or janky, and then you can have your light fixture wired right through the wall of your enclosure, whether you're doing wood or PVC, and it looks nice and neat and professional. And you don't have to have this electrical taped junction in the middle of your cord. Or I see so many people put their own light fixture in that, like, they buy one off the shelf at PetSmart that already has the cord on it, and then they drill a hole like this big in the wall of their wood or plastic enclosure so they can fit a whole plug through there. Like, you might as well cut the wire, drill a small hole, and you can get switches off Amazon for $4 or $5, a million different kinds and colors and styles, and they're all easy. Unscrew them apart, put your two wires in the two holes that they provide for you, screw them down, put the other two in the other side of the switch, screw them down, put the cover back on, and you've got a switch spliced into your light fixture, and you don't have this big hole going through your enclosure. So Sherry got a Rankin dragon. You know, it's funny you said that because Apollo, he was a PetSmart dragon. I got him over 3 years ago. He's definitely full grown, but he's never got above 350 grams, where Ramsey's is about 600 grams, and my females are like 460, 470 at least. And Ninja's a rescue, and she has no tail, and she's like at 340 grams. So I don't know if he was just a runt of the litter, or if he has Rankin's dragon somewhere in his bloodline, but he is a lot smaller than most male bearded dragons, and I know he's full grown, and he's had dusted dubia roaches, the best rotation of greens and vegetables and stuff his whole life, the best supplements. He's been to see the vet regularly. I know he's had the best diet and the best UVB, the best husbandry. So there's nothing else I can explain the reason he's been kind of small dragon is he either has Rankin's dragon in his bloodline, or he definitely was the runt of the litter, or came from a dragon farm where they weren't feeding the babies very good. Let's see, somebody did their own and made vlogs on how to do it. Yeah, it's super easy to convert a TV stand to a beardy, and I'll tell you, Kate's Reptiles, the easiest thing to do, if you're gonna go with bearded dragons, okay, any kind of enclosure you're gonna be able for a bearded dragon. You can do the drop-down kind of screen doors like I've done, which is really easy. And if you go to any hardware store where they sell hinges, buy a piano hinge. Like, I see so many people put 3 or 4 of these door hinges or different kind of hinges, and they always get wonky, and the doors always never shut right. A piano hinge is one long, continuous, straight hinge. It has like 20 screws down each side, and that piano hinge will make the door swing perfect for the life of the enclosure. If you want to do some kind of a swinging door, always go for piano hinges. They're the best for doors that are going to be used all the time, that don't have a lot of weight to them. And then if you want to use a sliding door type of front for any kind of enclosure, if you basically have your 4 walls and your back, you can turn any enclosure into a sliding glass door enclosure. Because you go on Amazon, you buy a 1/4 inch tracks for sliding glass doors. They come in plastic. There's a bunch of companies that make them. You can get them black, brown, white. They're literally 2 channels. I've actually got a set right here. And you can get these from a bunch of different companies. And it's basically, know how good you guys can see this on the camera, but it's basically 2 1/4 inch grooves. I get these from Randall Manufacturing. One of the companies that make them is called Nape and Voigt, KNAPEVOGT, Nape and Voigt. And sometimes they are hard to find, I guess, because of supply chain issues, but you can get these in black, white, or brown. And like I said, they got 1/4 inch grooves, so you can either go with acrylic, which I don't recommend, but you just get 2 pieces of plexiglass, measure this distance, overlap 1 inch. If this is 48 inches, get you 2 pieces that are 25, so they'll overlap 1 inch or 2 in the middle, and measure your height. Whatever the distance is when you mount your tracks, you subtract a half an inch. That allows it to go up and sit down in the track. But I recommend glass. I get 3/16 tempered glass from a local glass company, and there's like 5 or 6 in my area, and the price is always about the same. It'll cost you about $45 to get 2 glass panels, as long as they aren't over 2 foot by 2 foot. They just have kind of one set size that goes up to a certain size, and then it jumps up. But so no matter how big they are, up to 2 foot by 2 foot, you're looking at maybe $40 to invest in a set of sliding glass tempered doors. It's like the same glass in your car windows. That's what I put in my enclosures. It will not shatter. It will not break. It's super thick and it's heavy. It's easy to slide in and out on those sliding tracks. That's what I have my doors over there on my enclosure. And I use on all my enclosures. It slides really easy, but it's super strong. And the most important thing is lizards with claws cannot scratch it up very easy. If you use plexiglass or acrylic, Zen Habitats and Cages and all the big name brands, almost all of them use an acrylic or a plexiglass sliding door, and it causes 2 major problems. Number one, it scratches super easy, so after like 5 minutes it looks hazed over, and no matter how much you clean it, it's still going to look dirty and hazy. Or if you got a strong animal, a snake or a lizard, they can actually flex the door, and where they overlap, they can get in between that gap and get out or get stuck and even get killed or asphyxiated because they can't breathe once they get stuck in between there. So that is a super easy way to put doors on any kind of enclosure. Buy the tracks, glue them in the front, glue them at the top, measure, get 2 pieces of glass or plexiglass if you want to go that way, and put it in there. And another crazy thing is plexiglass is about $20 to $25 for a 18 by 24 or a 24 by 24 square. Tempered glass is the same price right now, so it really is not any more cost effective to put plexiglass in there. Even though it's easier, you can just go down to your hardware store and they'll cut it to your measurements. Most of them will right then. You walk out the door, you go home, put it in your enclosure. Tempered glass, you're going to have to order from a glass company. Nobody can cut and temper glass in-house like that day. They have to send it out to the factory. It has to be cut, polished, steamed on the edges, then heat tempered. So it usually takes me 5 to 7 days to get tempered glass, but it's worth the wait. And like I said, I've had tempered glass in my enclosures for years. Doesn't scratch up, doesn't break. It holds the heat in well, holds the moisture in well, or humidity in well, or out if that's what you need. And it's too heavy. None of my animals have ever moved their sliding glass doors. Like none of my dragons, none of my snakes have ever actually moved one of the sliding glass doors and opened their enclosure. I don't have locks on any of them that have the sliding doors. So that's just a little DIY help. And I'm going to be ending the stream here pretty soon, but I did want to talk about one other thing real quick. If you guys haven't seen my last videos, Dingo Dinkelman is probably one of the most awesome reptile ambassadors this hobby and the animal world has ever had. He's right up there with Steve Irwin, in my opinion, and a lot of other people, because what a lot of people don't know, that don't follow him really closely, is that Dingo travels all over the world, not just for his YouTube channel, but conservation efforts. I mean, this guy is going out there and wrestling, rhinos that are stuck in the mud in Africa. He's helping pull, elephants out of the swamp. This guy's helping relocate venomous snakes out of villages and homes and relocating them back out into the wild. I mean, his conservation efforts and the efforts that he puts out of his own time. I mean, he could literally sit at home and get a check from YouTube and get a check from he's got, an animal park that he operates in his hometown there in South Africa, and he could just sit back and make that money and do nothing. I mean, he would be probably well off and have a pretty nice life. He could just sit there, enjoy his own animals, spend all his time with his family, and have that kind of life. And most of us would think that would be a dream. I know I would think that'd be a dream. But what does he do in his spare time? He jumps on airplanes that are probably crappy little airplanes. He's not flying on private jets to the Congo and to these remote places in Africa. Probably crappy travel, crappy living arrangements. He's probably living in huts or motels that are dingy with no freaking air conditioning. I mean, he's not in the best parts of the world, in the best living conditions or the best traveling conditions, and yet he does that in his own spare time to help these animals. His YouTube channel was taken down because of YouTube's policy of 3 copyright strikes in a 3-month period is an automatic permanent ban. And a lot of people I've heard say, well, why don't he just start another channel? if you're not a YouTube creator and you've never read the fine print, you don't understand that your channel is not just about you. Your channel, YouTube considers you like a personality. It doesn't really have so much to do with the name of your channel or the type of content. Dingo Dinkelman, when they banned his channel, they banned his personality from YouTube. Basically, he can't start another channel called Dingo's Animal Adventures or Here's Dingo. Like, as soon as they see it's him, they're gonna ban it again. Like, it's not Dingo Dinkelman the channel name, or the Dingo Dinkelman channel that was banned. It was Dingo Dinkelman himself. His personality, his YouTube presence has been banned. So there was multiple people involved in this. There was 4 or 5 photographers that had pictures that put copyright issues, or had said they had copyright issues. But the gist of the story is that most of these photographs are actually owned by a man named Johan Moraes. Very similar to, like, if you get married and you pay a photographer to come and do photos at your wedding, even though that photographer took the pictures, you own the rights to those pictures because you paid the photographer to take them. So Johan Moraes, even though he didn't take the pictures, he paid some money to take them, so he owned the rights to the pictures. Well, Dingo's crew, over the years, some of these thumbnails were years old. Through the years, his crew did like I do, and I've been guilty of myself. I need a picture for a thumbnail or for my video, so I'll Google map of Africa or map of the Sahara Desert or picture of Savannah Monitor. Google pops up a picture, I copy and paste it, I put it in my video, or I put it on my thumbnail. Well, if someone else owns the rights to that picture, and you don't research that or reach out to them, and it's not something you got off a Canva app or an app that guarantees that those photos are okay to use, that they own the rights, and by you using the app and agreeing that you have the rights to use those pictures, and you don't have to worry about any repercussions. That's what I do now. I use Canva and a couple other apps, and they guarantee me. I use the paid versions, and then those photos I can use, and rest assured that there's not going to be copyright coming back to me. But especially if you see a photo that has a watermark on it, definitely is going to be copyright struck. So this man reached out to YouTube and said, Dingo has pictures that I own the copyrights of, and he has them on his thumbnails. I don't want him strike. So this man put 2 strikes on Dingo in a 3-month period, and he knew he could have waited and put a 3rd strike. He could have put his strikes, his complaint together in 1 strike, but he did it in 2 strikes in the same close proximity to another photographer who put a strike on Dingo, because he knew if he put 2 more on him, that was going to fall into 3 months. He timed these thumbnails that Dingo had used his pictures in were years old. He timed these copyright strikes maliciously so that he could get Dingo's channel banned. And Dingo reached out, and if you watch the Kevin McCurley Instagram, Dingo found this man's phone number and called him personally and said, hey, is there something we can do about this? And the man said, talk to my lawyers, and hung up on him. He was not even interested in hearing what Dingo had to say. I firmly believe it was an honest mistake by Dingo's staff. I firmly believe that Dingo reached out and tried to broached it amicably and come up with a resolution, but that man was a bully. He wanted nothing to do with it. He was happy to be such a small person and be able to cause such a big man such a catastrophe to his YouTube channel. I mean, I really think it was maliciously motivated, and because the videos I did, I've actually heard back from Dingo himself. He's messaged me on Instagram. He said he definitely thinks the people that watched my videos and reached out had an impact. You know, Dingo and now Johan Moraes have spoken, which Johan Moraes reached out to Dingo, and I'm thinking it definitely had a lot to do with the feedback from the nerd video that Donnie made and the videos I made. Definitely, I'm sure a lot more to do with Donnie and Nerd's videos, because a lot more people, but the Dragon Whisperers crowd was heard as well. They sent lots of emails and messages to Johan Moraes. Now he's reached out to Dingo, and hopefully Dingo's channel is being put through the process of those copyright strikes taken off and his channel coming back. We can only hope and pray. We can't let bullying like this happen in this hobby or anywhere else in the world. But if people don't know what happened, I want to give you a quick synopsis, even though I'm sure that wasn't as quick as some people would have liked it to be. But also, if you're doing YouTube creation, please make sure you know where your photos are coming from. Make sure you know where your music's coming from, because the last thing you want to do is years down the road somebody come and blow your channel up and cause you a lot of problems because of a simple mistake that you made earlier on. So make sure you guys check that out in the future. Definitely. Yeah, no, drop a link. No problem. If you've got a link to your YouTube channel or anything that you want to promote, your Instagram, go right ahead. I have no problems with that, whoever asked that. But anyway, so just want to mention that to you guys. Be careful about the content you put on your channel if you are creating. You don't want to get a copyright strike because, like I explained, if they ban your channel, it's not just your channel. They ban you. You cannot have another channel. You cannot rebrand it. You can't rename it. Once YouTube says you're done, you are done. So that's 3 copyright strikes in 3 months, and you're gone forever. So just be careful where I encourage you to use an app or some kind of a file sharing site that guarantees that the images you use are not copyright protected, and you won't have to worry about those repercussions down the road. One last thing before I get off the live stream. You guys, if you hadn't been able to tell already, I wear Carolina Tar Heel shirts in almost all my videos, and Tar Heel Exotics is the name of my reptile business. I am a tried and true Tar Heel fan. Matter of fact, over there on the wall, I have my doctorate in Tar Heel basketball that somebody I love very much gave to me, and it is signed by Bubba Cunningham and Roy Williams before he retired. Not stamps, actual signatures, and my tickets for going to the AC tournament and watching the Tar Heels plays all over there. I got plaques up on the wall of all the teams that won championships. I mean, Tar Heel basketball, like I live and breathe Tar Heel basketball. And the whoop down that we put on the Duke Blue Devils yesterday was probably one of the greatest victories in all of Tar Heel basketball since it began, since they dribbled the first ball at Carolina at Chapel Hill. Because not only did we beat Mike Krzyzewski, Coach K, on his last ever home court game against the Tar Heels, but there was about 100 old Dukies there, like Christian Leitner and Bobby Hurley, and well, not Bobby Hurley, but Christian Leitner and Grant Hill, and all the big names from the history of Duke that went to the NBA and won all the championships and beat us over the years a couple times. Well, they all had to sit there and take the humble pie when the Tar Heels whooped Coach K on his home court on his last game against the Tar Heels. And he had to go out there on the court after the game and give a speech about how sad he was to leave Duke basketball. And instead of celebrating the win, he had to talk about how they got the butts whooped by the Tar Heels. It was the biggest Duke parade we have ever rained on in the history of Tar Heel basketball, and it was fabulous. So thank you, all you Dukies out there that made it possible, and I'm sorry for all the pain and anguish you're feeling today, and I hope every Tar Heel fan you have in your life has put the screws to you today about that whoop down y'all took yesterday in front of all your alumni. So big shout out to everybody watching today. Soda Pop Fizz, cool name, Sherilyn Mascats, Kate's Reptiles, Monica Davis, I remember I won that baby show. Thank you, Monica, that you made it. But thanks for everybody. And this is going to be a more regular thing, I promise you guys, next Sunday. And hit me up on Instagram or comment on this video or any of my other videos if you guys think there's a time that will be better. Share this out with everybody that you know so next Sunday we can have a reptile party. Let's get a bunch of people in here. Let's talk about reptiles. Let's have some fun. Once again, go Tar Heels. Thanks for everybody that showed up in the chat. I'm the Dragon Whisperer, and I'm out.